We begin tonight at 11 with a weather impact alert. Check out this hail. We got these photos from Jay Martin, who lives in Martin County. Storms tonight triggering watches and warnings. Our weather team has been with you on air and online tonight as this threat moved through central Indiana. Thanks for inviting us in. It's 11 o'clock. Angela's here. So how are things looking right now?
Much better.
Good.
No watches, no warnings. That tornado watch was allowed to expire just a few minutes ahead of 11 o'clock. But I do want to point out the storm reports. About a dozen hail reports, mainly across the southern part of our area, from Davies and Martin counties into Lawrence County, into parts of Jackson and Jennings counties. These are highlighted here. All of these storm reports are associated with large hail. As mentioned, that tornado watch was allowed to expire a few minutes before 11 o'clock. Now, I am still tracking some thunderstorms. Heavy downpours, lots of lightning moving through the western sections of Morgan County right now. That's the most concentrated area of storms in between Indianapolis and Terre Haute, along and just north and south of I-70 and Highway 40. I've got one severe thunderstorm warning, but that's across the state line. There will be rain and rumbles of thunder overnight, as you can see with Future Track 13. Additional showers and storms possible early tomorrow morning, with additional thunderstorms expected tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. We are back under the threat of severe weather. I'll highlight that and look ahead to the weekend in a few minutes.
All right, see you in a little bit, Angela. Thanks. So when there is a weather impact alert, make sure you've downloaded WTHR Plus. That's our free streaming app. It allows you to follow live Doppler 13 radar, watch the in-depth forecast, and our extended weather coverage as well. Tonight at 11, a group of Hoosiers is now calling for change to current immigration policies in the United States. President Donald Trump has taken a hardline stance on immigration since retaking office. Our Logan Gay was at a vigil tonight as some people here in our state said the president's gone too far. Logan?
Well, Scott, they prayed tonight for, among other things, the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. A federal judge, an appeals court, and the Supreme Court have all ordered the Trump administration to facilitate Garcia's return to the United States. He was deported to a prison in El Salvador on March 15th.
Save the Constitution!
The people gathered on the federal courthouse steps say defending the Constitution is what led to this prayer vigil and rally.
Save the Constitution!
Stuart Mora works in immigration. He says seeing the president and his administration's refusal to attempt to bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia back after he was mistakenly deported to a prison in El Salvador is un-American.
We believe as Americans that we are all entitled to rights of due process. And for the Trump administration not simply to ignore the ruling of the Supreme Court, but also to mock the ruling of the Supreme Court is an offense to our Constitution and an offense to all of us as Americans.
The president recently acknowledged in an interview with ABC News that he could call El Salvador's president and have Abrego Garcia sent back, but he doubled down on his claims that Abrego Garcia is a member of the MS-13 gang. Police in Maryland identified Abrego Garcia as an MS-13 member in 2019, but he was never charged. That gang identification is what prompted the Trump administration to send Abrego Garcia to El Salvador. But the deportation violated a U.S. immigration judge's order in 2019, protecting him from being sent to El Salvador. Now, Hoosiers are urging lawmakers to push back.
For justice, your care for the most vulnerable among us.
It means a lot to me that freedom and independence and rule of law is how we need to run this country, and we've gotten off track.
If we're under attack,
We got your back!
We're calling on our representatives and our senators to speak up and say it's not okay that the Trump administration violates Supreme Court orders. It's that simple. It doesn't matter what the order is.
Saida Campos works at an immigration law firm and handles a lot of removal defense clients' cases. She says what happened to Garcia impacts their clients and others.
It's an attempt by the administration to continue to instill fear in people and make everyone feel unsafe, because he did have a type of status that would allow him to remain here lawfully in the United States. And so for people that are in processes that are supposed to be protected or that have some type of status, it makes you feel insecure and it can make you feel unsafe, like, well then what if I'm next?
And they fear how this could impact the direction of the country in the future. So we did reach out to the office of U.S. Senator Jim Banks for comment about these concerns, but have not heard back yet. But there is another Protect the Constitution Vigil planned on Tuesday, May 20th in front of Senator Todd Young's office.
All right, Logan, thanks so much. Tonight at 11, a man is now under arrest accused of opening fire inside of the Jackson County Public Library in Seymour. Police got that call around noon today. Officers say an 18-year-old went inside and fired one shot toward two employees. One of them suffered minor injuries. Then police say the man made his way to the second floor of the library where a patron tackled him and held him until law enforcement showed up. Investigators later determined the suspect first went to Seymour High School intending to target a school resource officer, but he never entered the school or made contact with the officer. Police tonight are telling us the suspect eventually left and went to the library. Tonight he's facing multiple preliminary counts, including attempted murder.
No sentence will ever bring her back or erase the pain we live with every single day.
Tonight at 11, we want to take you inside the courtroom as a man is sentenced for stalking and killing his ex-wife at a gas station in Fishers. Joshua Farmer's plea deal called for an 80-year sentence, and that's exactly what he got. Investigators say he ambushed Kayla Farmer when she stopped at a gas pump near 116th and Allisonville. All of this unfolding back in June of 2023. Farmer shot Kayla as she sat in her car. An autopsy found more than 15 gunshot wounds on her body. Joshua and Kayla had 3 boys together.
This is the last time you will be acknowledged by me or by anyone in our family. Once this hearing is over, you will be erased from our lives. You have no children. You have no legacy. The boys you once knew do not speak your name, and they never will.
That sentence combines the murder case with an incident a month earlier when Joshua punched and choked Kayla and then put a gun to her head. There was a no contact order in place when he killed Kayla. He did not offer her family an apology today, instead saying, quote, "I don't have anything to say." Tonight, Indiana Governor Mike Braun is now weighing in on recent comments from Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith that have stirred controversy. This is a story we first covered here on 13 News at 11 Monday. Beckwith posted a video online last week in response to a bill at the Indiana State House aimed at limiting diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in government. During debate about that bill, Senate Democrats compared the legislation to past policies like the 3/5 compromise. That's a clause in the U.S. Constitution that counted enslaved people as 3/5 of a person for the purposes of representation and taxation. But it did not grant them rights or freedom.
Be eradicated in our nation. They knew what they were doing.
Earlier this week, we talked to the president of the Concerned Clergy of Indianapolis. Reverend David Green called on Beckwith to retract his comments, calling them historically inaccurate and morally repugnant. Tonight, we're hearing from the governor.
I definitely wouldn't have used that characterization, and I don't like it. I'm a believer that you better start thinking about what you're saying before it comes out.
Governor Braun went on to say making headlines in the wrong way takes away from the substance of what you're trying to accomplish. Here's a look at the other stories making headlines right now. In June, a Marion County judge will sentence a 19-year-old convicted of killing a 15-year-old. Wardell Wright was one of 3 people charged in the case. A jury found Wright guilty this week of murder and robbery. 15-year-old Jeremiah Lewis died in the shooting in June of 2023 on the west side of Indianapolis. A man was just found guilty of an attack in Fountain Square. Court documents reveal it happened when the victim went to take his dogs out. His wife heard a noise in the stairwell and found a man standing over her husband with a 2x4 board. A judge convicted Brandon Eaton of attempted murder and aggravated battery. Eaton's sentencing is set for May 27th. There's a new memorial here in Indianapolis dedicated to the people who have given the gift of life. It's at the headquarters for the Indiana Donor Network. It celebrates the more than 1 million lives that have been saved through organ and tissue donation. The centerpiece of the memorial is a tree of life. Soon you'll see cameras at intersections and bus stops across Indianapolis. This is an effort to capture just how dangerous they are for pedestrians. It's a study from Indigo called a near-miss analysis. The cameras will be installed this summer and will record for 24 hours each, so they're only temporary. The goal here is to make safety changes in those areas based on data recorded by the cameras. Remember, you can find all of our latest local stories anytime on our 13 News app.